The most dangerous person alive is not one who seeks to dominate, but one who surrenders wholly to the will of God, no longer requiring permission from the world to exist. As children of God, chosen and set apart, we are not merely journeying through life. We are dismantling the barriers that humanity has erected to confine us. This transformation is not of our own doing, but through the grace and power of Christ working in us. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Trusting in God's divine plan makes us unshakable, for our steps are ordered by Him. When the world cannot understand or control us, it often reacts with fear or envy. But this is a testament to the Spirit of God within us, a spirit that refuses to be confined by earthly expectations. Congratulations, believer. By simply walking in faith, you challenge the very frameworks of those who seek to oppose you. You're not dangerous because you retaliate. You're dangerous because your faith makes you untouchable. As Proverbs 28 verse 1 says, "The wicked flee though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion." Your boldness in Christ sends tremors into the hearts of those rooted in darkness. Your silence, grounded in spiritual confidence, speaks volumes. You do not need to shout or argue. Your very presence declares victory. The light of Christ in you is a beacon that exposes the shadows where others dwell. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1 verse 5. Watching those who oppose you falter is not a cause for pride, but a reminder of the power of walking in alignment with God's purpose. Their reaction is less about you and more about their resistance to the conviction your life brings. Your unpredictability is not chaos. It is the evidence of a life led by the Holy Spirit. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. John 3 verse 8. Your reliance on God makes you a force to be reckoned with. One moment, you may be still, meditating on His Word, and the next, you're moving mountains with a faith that astonishes onlookers. It's not your might, but His that works through you. As Philippians 4 verse 13 reminds us, I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. This divine empowerment confounds those who rely solely on their understanding. For you are driven by a purpose they cannot grasp. While they strategize and scheme, you are already operating in the victory promised by God. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. Isaiah 54 verse 17. Adaptability is one of the greatest gifts of faith. You evolve not because of worldly pressures, but because of the transformative work of God in your life. Your ability to rise to each occasion is a reflection of His grace. Romans 12 verse 2 calls us to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This constant renewal keeps you one step ahead, not because of your wisdom, but because you lean on the infinite wisdom of God. Those who oppose you are not just running from you, but from the uncomfortable truth that their limited understanding cannot contain the infinite possibilities of a life surrendered to Christ. Surprising even yourself is a hallmark of faith. When you step into spaces you never imagined, achieve goals that seemed unreachable, and overcome trials that appeared insurmountable, you are living proof of Ephesians 3 verse 20. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Your life becomes a testimony, not to your strength but to God's glory. While others remain tethered to their comfort zones, you are set apart, igniting a fire that cannot be quenched. Do you think I came to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division. Luke 12 verse 51. Your faith disrupts complacency and challenges the status quo, a testament to the radical love and truth of the gospel. The world seeks to label and define, to place us in boxes that fit its limited understanding. Yet, as believers, our identity is rooted not in the opinions of man, but in the truth of God's word. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. 1 Peter 2, verse 9. You are too multifaceted, too dynamic to be reduced to a single definition. This refusal to conform unsettles those around you because it points to a freedom they have yet to experience. As Galatians 5, verse 1 declares, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." Your life is a mirror reflecting the potential they've yet to realize. Your unwillingness to compromise your faith challenges the foundations of worldly wisdom. The world desires simplicity, predictability, and control, yet you embody the paradox of being simultaneously strong and humble, bold and meek, as Christ himself was. "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." Isaiah 55, verse 8. People may try to understand you, label you, or oppose you, but their efforts are futile against the boundless nature of a heart aligned with God. Your consistency is not in meeting their expectations, but in pursuing continual growth through him. What truly sets you apart is your resilience, a resilience born not of human will, but of divine promise. When you fall, you rise again, stronger and more focused than before. Proverbs 24, verse 16 assures us, "Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." Your ability to turn trials into triumphs is a direct reflection of Romans 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Each setback becomes a stepping stone, each insult a testament to God's refining fire, each failure an opportunity to showcase his glory. You do not waste time justifying yourself to those who doubt you. Instead, you let your actions and the fruit of your faith speak louder than words. By their fruit you will recognize them. Matthew 7, verse 16. Your success is not measured by worldly standards, but by your faithfulness to God's calling. Those who oppose you may try to undermine you, but their efforts only amplify the undeniable truth that God's hand is upon your life. You are uncontainable because the Spirit within you is limitless. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17. Ultimately, your power lies in your unwavering trust in God. You are dangerous not because of what you do, but because of who you are in Christ. You are a testament to his power, a vessel of his grace, and a beacon of his light. In a world that seeks to confine and define, you stand as a living declaration of the freedom and victory found in him. So, rise boldly, live authentically, and let the world see what it means to walk in the confidence of God's plan. Amen. You intimidate with authenticity. You show up as yourself unapologetically. No mask, no filter, no fake smiles, just raw, unfiltered truth. That kind of honesty is rare, and for many, it's terrifying. In a world full of people hiding behind carefully curated facades, you stand out like a blazing fire in the dark. It's not because you're trying to be different. It's because you've decided that being real is non-negotiable. And that decision is revolutionary in itself. Your authenticity doesn't just make you stand out. It becomes a challenge, a call to action for everyone who has been living half-truths. It shakes people to their core, forcing them to confront their own masks, their own lies, and the insecurities they've worked so hard to bury. When you show up fully as yourself, you disrupt the fragile realities they've built around pretending to be something they're not. You don't need to say anything. Your presence alone is enough to make their walls crumble. It's not your intention to make them uncomfortable, but your very presence does exactly that. What makes you so dangerous is that you don't seek approval. You don't bend to fit into spaces or mold yourself to meet expectations. This freedom, this courage to be yourself, is intimidating because most people don't have it. They envy it because it's what they secretly crave. They resent it because it reminds them of the compromises they've made. And they fear it because they know they can't control someone like you. They can't put you into a box. label you, or dismiss you because you don't play by the rules they've been taught to follow. Your rawness is magnetic to some and repellent to others, but either way, it's unforgettable. People don't know how to deal with someone who refuses to fake it, so they either admire you or avoid you. But here's the thing, they don't have to like you, and it doesn't matter if they do. Their reactions don't define you. You've realized something they haven't. Real power comes from living your truth. You've stopped chasing validation because you understand that it's fleeting and meaningless. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Just by being authentically you, you've already won. In a world obsessed with conformity, your refusal to compromise is a victory in itself. You've learned that your worth isn't tied to their approval. It's tied to the strength it takes to remain true to yourself. You're a threat to mediocrity. You refuse to settle for anything less than greatness. While others are busy making peace with good enough, you're out there chasing more, reaching higher, and breaking barriers they didn't even know existed. Your ambition doesn't just challenge the limits of what's possible. It exposes the complacency of those around you. For some, that's a bitter pill to swallow. Your existence is a constant reminder to others of what they've chosen to ignore, their own potential. When they see you striving, building, and thriving, it forces them to confront the fact that they've stopped trying. They've made excuses, told themselves it's too hard, too risky, or simply not worth it. But then you walk in, proving them wrong just by being you, and it stings. You're living proof that the excuses they cling to are nothing more than fear wearing a mask. This is why mediocrity despises ambition. You challenge the status quo, and by extension, those who've made it their home. Your drive is a mirror they can't avoid, reflecting back their lack of effort, their unfulfilled dreams, and the goals they abandoned along the way. But the truth is, it's not that they hate you. They hate the version of themselves they've chosen to bury. Seeing you thriving makes them question the choices they've made, the fears they've let win, and the potential they've left unexplored. And here's the kicker. You're not doing it for them. You're not out here grinding to make anyone else feel small. You're chasing your own potential, refusing to let life pass you by without giving it everything you've got. It's not your fault they feel threatened. It's their fear of failure that's eating them alive. You're not just ambitious. You're unstoppable. And for people who've settled, that kind of energy is terrifying. That kind of silence is deafening. It echoes in the minds of your haters long after you've moved on. Your comebacks are calculated, not emotional. You don't act out of anger or desperation. You act with precision. Every move you make is deliberate, and every victory is a reminder to everyone who doubted you that they underestimated the wrong person. That's what rattles them the most. Not just that you came back, but how you did it. You don't just bounce back. You transform. The truth is, they can't handle the fact that nothing can break you. Not their opinions, not their attempts to sabotage you, not even your own failures. Every time you rise, it's a warning to anyone foolish enough to stand in your way. Your comebacks aren't just about survival, they're about domination. You don't just recover, you thrive. That makes you unstoppable. And here's what makes you even more powerful. You've learned to channel all the negativity thrown your way into fuel. Every doubt, every sneer, every underestimation only sharpens your focus. You don't seek revenge, you seek results. The victory isn't just in proving them wrong, it's in proving yourself right. Because at the end of the day, your journey is about you. It's about your potential, your resilience, and your unrelenting refusal to settle. It's not about silencing your doubters. It's about amplifying your truth. And in doing so, you remind the world that nothing and no one can hold you back. You redefine the rules because you refuse to accept limitations that don't make sense to you. While others blindly follow what they're told, you question everything. To you, rules are not sacred. They're merely constructs. You understand that they were created by people no smarter than you, no more visionary than you. If those rules don't align with your purpose, you're not afraid to break them. Or better yet, rewrite them completely. This isn't about rebellion for rebellion's sake. You're not driven by defiance or a desire to stand out. Instead, you're motivated by a higher goal, to create something better, more efficient, more aligned with your ambitions. When faced with a system that doesn't fit, you don't fold or compromise. You find another way. In doing so, you shine a light on possibilities others fail to see. You expose the illusion of limits, the false barriers people build for themselves and then accept as reality. It's not that you disrespect tradition. It's that you see tradition as a starting point, not the finish line. To evolve, to grow, to truly thrive, change is not optional. It's essential. You challenge the norm, not to disrupt, but to progress, to innovate. And while some may see your approach as audacious or even threatening, deep down, they know you're right. You're not just creating your own path. You're carving a road that others will eventually follow. That's not rebellion. It's leadership in its purest form. Your strength lies in your ability to transform not only systems, but perceptions. You've mastered the art of presence, proving that power doesn't have to be loud to be effective. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts. People take notice, but not because you're shouting or demanding attention. It's your quiet intensity, your unwavering confidence that draws them in. You don't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Your presence alone speaks volumes. What makes this power so unique is its rarity. Most people feel the need to scream to be heard, to compete endlessly for recognition. You don't. You've learned that true power doesn't need to advertise itself. It simply exists, silently commanding respect. It's in the way people instinctively adjust when you're near, how the atmosphere seems to align with your energy. You don't seek validation. You exude it naturally. Even in silence, you make your mark. And while others are busy trying to be seen, trying to prove their worth, you've already established yours. Your strength doesn't come from words, it comes from presence. And that kind of power leaves an impression that lingers long after you've left the room. But your ability to command attention isn't your only strength. It's your relationship with pain that truly sets you apart. While others run from it, you face it head on. You weaponize pain in a way that leaves people stunned. What would destroy someone else only sharpens you. Pain doesn't break you, it builds you. Every setback, every betrayal, every disappointment becomes another brick in the fortress you're constructing. It's not that you're immune to pain. You feel it as deeply as anyone else. But unlike most, you've learned how to use it. Pain for you is not an obstacle, it's a tool, a teacher, and an ally. When life knocks you down, you don't just get back up. You rise stronger, smarter, and hungrier. You take the lessons buried in every struggle and use them as fuel to climb higher than before. People watch, waiting for the pain to stop you, to break you. But instead, they see you transform it into momentum. They watch you stumble and think it's the end, only to realize later that you've used the setback to light an even bigger fire. Your resilience terrifies them because it's unshakable. They can't comprehend how you keep going when others would have long since given up. Every time you rise, it reminds them of their own limitations. Your ability to endure, adapt, and thrive sets you apart. It's what makes you so dangerous. People see in you what they lack, the courage to face pain and emerge stronger. They know they can't break you, no matter how hard they try. Pain isn't your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. It sharpens your focus, deepens your strength, and fuels your ambition. While others let it paralyze them, you channel it into action, into progress, into transformation. This is why the harder life hits, the more dangerous you become. For you, pain isn't the end. It's just the beginning of your next breakthrough. Where others see defeat, you see an opportunity to rebuild, to rise anew. Every challenge, every hardship becomes a stepping stone towards something greater. You don't just survive adversity, you thrive in it, turning every trial into triumph. Ultimately, what terrifies people most is that you don't just play by the rules, you redefine them. You don't just follow the game, you change it. And in doing so, you prove something profound, that the only true limits are the ones we impose on ourselves. By refusing to accept those limits, by pushing beyond what others believe is possible, you show the world what true strength, resilience, and leadership look like. You hold up a mirror to the world, whether you intend to or not. Your success forces people to confront the parts of themselves they'd rather ignore, the truths they work so hard to avoid. It's not you they're angry with, it's what you represent. With every step you take, every goal you crush, and every boundary you push, you highlight the gap between where you are and where they've chosen to remain. Your very existence becomes a spotlight on their stagnation, their unfulfilled potential, and their unwillingness to take risks. It's not a role you chose, but it's one you play simply by being who you are. The truth you embody is uncomfortable, especially for those too afraid to challenge their own limits or chase their dreams. Your achievements make their excuses feel hollow, their compromises glaringly obvious. When they look at you, they don't see just a person. They see a mirror reflecting their own missed opportunities, their own lack of ambition, and the mediocrity they've settled for. It's not your success they hate. It's the stark reminder of what they could have been, of the lives they could have built but didn't. That fear of confronting their own shortcomings often manifests as resentment or anger toward you. You didn't ask for this role, but by refusing to settle, you become a symbol of everything they could achieve if only they were willing to step out of their comfort zones. You become a living testament to what's possible when complacency is rejected, when fear is faced head-on, and when mediocrity is left behind. This makes people deeply uncomfortable, not because you attack them, but because your growth forces them to question their own choices. It challenges the narratives they've built about what's enough and what's possible. They hate what you've become not because of who you are, but because of what it means for them. Yet the truth remains. You're not responsible for their feelings. You didn't set out to make them uncomfortable. You simply chose to live your truth unapologetically. Your success isn't about diminishing them. It's about elevating yourself to a place where they might not yet be able to follow. And as you continue to grow, the mirror you hold up to their lives will remain, reflecting the truths they'd rather not see. Your vision, bold and untamed, feels unreachable to others because it transcends their imagination. It's not just ambitious, it's audacious, stretching far beyond the boundaries of what most people believe is possible. While many remain trapped in their comfort zones, dreaming small and settling for what feels safe, you dare to think beyond the horizon. Your dreams are massive, fearless, and raw, embodying a level of courage that leaves others in awe, and often in fear. They don't just see your ambition. They see a force they can't comprehend, a vision so grand it feels like a distant galaxy, forever out of reach. To them, your goals seem impossible, almost alien, because they can't fathom the scale or depth of possibility you're working with. But you're not content with incremental progress or small wins. You're not just trying to succeed in one area. You're reshaping entire industries, redefining what success means, and building a legacy that will endure long after you're gone. You're crafting a future so bold, it doesn't even exist yet. And because others can't see what you see, they can only respond with a mixture of awe and fear. Your vision doesn't fit into the comfortable, predictable boxes they've constructed for themselves. But that's exactly the point. Your dreams aren't meant to fit. They're meant to disrupt, to expand, to inspire. You don't dream for validation or approval. You dream because you understand that your potential has no limits. You see worlds others can't even imagine, and that makes you a force they struggle to comprehend. The impossibility of your vision doesn't deter you, it fuels you. While others hesitate in the face of doubt, you're already creating the future they can't yet grasp. For you, the challenge is the thrill, proving to yourself that no dream is too big, no vision too far-reaching. While they watch and doubt, you're building what they can't even envision. And then there's your energy. It's magnetic, undeniable, and transformative. You don't chase, you attract. Opportunities don't just come your way. They're pulled to you as if by gravity. Whether it's people, possibilities, or even those who oppose you, they find themselves drawn into your orbit, unable to resist the force of your presence. You've become a beacon for everything that aligns with your purpose, and that kind of pull can't be replicated or faked. The power of your energy lies in its authenticity. You've discovered that the best things in life aren't earned through relentless chasing, but by showing up as your most authentic, powerful self. This energy creates momentum that carries you forward effortlessly. It attracts the right people, the right situations, and even the challenges you need to grow. People are drawn to you not because you seek their attention, but because your presence is so undeniable, so real. And it's not just allies who feel this pull. Even your adversaries can't resist coming into your orbit. They may not want to be there, but your strength, success, and resilience make them feel small, forcing them to either challenge you or retreat in fear. But even then, you don't chase them. You don't need to. They are drawn to you because you represent everything they can achieve. Your vision, your growth, your unstoppable momentum. The beauty of this lies in your understanding of the deeper truth. Your energy, your presence, and your authenticity are your greatest assets. You've learned that you don't need to beg for what you deserve. By continuing to evolve, to shine, and to grow, you naturally attract everything that's meant for you. The rest falls into place, and those who are destined to be part of your journey will find their way in. Your pull is irresistible, not just to them, but even to yourself. In life, there will always be those who misunderstand us, judge our motives, and label us as villains in the narratives they create. But as Christians, we are called to a higher perspective, one grounded in faith and the belief that God's plans are far greater than human understanding. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It is through this lens of trust in God's sovereignty that we navigate the complexities of life, even when others see us as adversaries. To those who do not share our faith, our actions may appear bold, unpredictable, or even threatening to their established ways of thinking. They may see us as disruptive forces challenging their comfort zones. But as believers, we understand that we are not here to conform to the world's expectations or seek the approval of others. Instead, we seek to walk in obedience to God, allowing Him to guide our steps and shape our story. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Galatians 1 verse 10. The pursuit of God's calling often leads us into places of misunderstanding and opposition. Just as Jesus was misunderstood by the Pharisees and rejected by many, we too may face criticism and judgment. But we are reminded of Christ's own words. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. Matthew 5 verse 11 to 12. Our trials and the opinions of others are not our end goal. They are merely part of the journey toward fulfilling God's purpose for our lives. When faced with opposition, we must adopt a posture of silence and trust. This silence is not born of weakness, but of confidence in God's ultimate plan. Like Jesus, who did not retaliate when he was insulted, nor threaten revenge when he suffered, but left his case in the hands of God, who always judges fairly. 1 Peter 2 verse 23. We too can find strength in letting our actions speak louder than our words. By focusing on the mission God has entrusted to us, we rise above the noise and chaos that others might try to create. The quiet confidence that comes from faith is powerful and rare. In a world that thrives on validation and reaction, the ability to remain steadfast and composed is both countercultural and deeply inspiring. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14, verse 14. This stillness is not inactivity, but a deliberate choice to trust God's timing and wisdom rather than our own. As we work toward fulfilling our God-given purpose, we must also recognize that every challenge, every roadblock, and every accusation is an opportunity for growth and refinement. Romans 8 verse 28 assures us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Even the difficulties we face can be used by God to shape us into vessels for His glory. Consider the story of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely accused. Joseph could have been consumed by bitterness or despair. Instead, he trusted in God's plan, and in time, he rose to a position of great influence. When he finally confronted his brothers, he said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50 verse 20. Joseph's story reminds us that even when others perceive us as villains, God is writing a greater narrative, one that serves his purposes and brings him glory. This perspective frees us from the need to seek validation or engage in fruitless debates. Instead of reacting to the criticism or doubt of others, we can channel our energy into building something that reflects God's goodness and truth. As Paul exhorted the Colossians, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Colossians 3 verse 23. By focusing on God's calling, we invest in work that will endure and bear fruit for generations. Our silence, rooted in faith, can be a powerful testimony to those who watch us. It is not an empty silence, but one filled with the assurance that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1 verse 6. While others may be quick to judge or criticize, our quiet perseverance reflects our trust in God's sovereignty and his ability to bring about his plans in his time. As we journey through life, we must remember that our ultimate goal is not to please others or even to be understood. Our goal is to glorify God and fulfill the purpose he has set before us. Therefore, we make it our aim, whether present or absent, to be well-pleasing to him. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 9, NKJV. In doing so, we become part of a story much greater than ourselves, a story written by the Creator of the universe. In the end, the opinions of others will fade, but the impact of a life lived for God will echo through eternity. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Matthew 24 verse 35. Let us, then, live with an eternal perspective, trusting that our faithfulness to God's calling will leave a legacy far greater than anything we could achieve on our own. To some, we may always be the villain, but through the eyes of faith, we see ourselves as part of God's redemptive plan. We are not defined by the labels others place on us, but by the identity we have in Christ. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. 1 Peter 2 verse 9. So let us continue to move forward with confidence and trust, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. With this assurance, we can face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and live out the story God is writing for us, a story that will inspire and glorify him for generations to come. In a world filled with chaos, mediocrity, and fear, the believer stands as a radiant testimony to the transformative power of faith and the unwavering promise of God. When you choose not to settle, not to conform to the patterns of this world, and not to apologize for the divine purpose imbued within you, you become a beacon of hope, a reflection of what it means to trust in God's perfect plan. You do not need to chase the fleeting approval of others, for you walk confidently knowing that everything ordained for you by the Creator will come to pass in his time. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Isaiah 40 verse 31. Your energy, driven by faith, your authentic spirit, and your commitment to God's truth draw blessings and opportunities into your life, far beyond what the world could offer. In the silence of your obedience and trust, there is a power that surpasses understanding. The noise of the world, the criticism, and the doubts of others cannot compare to the strength that comes from resting in God's promises. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14 verse 14. While others may clamor for attention or validation, your quiet resilience, rooted in the eternal hope of Christ, shatters the boundaries of human limitation. The walls of mediocrity crumble, not because you've demanded recognition, but because the glory of God shines through you, illuminating the path forward. Those who criticize you do not truly despise you. Rather, they fear the reflection of their own unfulfilled potential, magnified by your courage to live a life of faith. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1 verse 5. Your life, marked by grace and conviction, holds up a mirror to the mediocrity they've settled for, challenging them to confront their own doubts and fears. And though they may attempt to tear you down, you remain steadfast, rooted in God's unshakable truth. Your story, authored by the Almighty, will echo through generations as a testament to His faithfulness and your perseverance. You are not merely a passive character in the narrative of life. You are the hero in the divine story God is writing through you. While others may attempt to cast you as the villain in their tales of insecurity, your vision, inspired by God's purpose, transcends their limited perspective. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. This vision, born of faith and nurtured by trust, cannot be contained by the narrow minds of those who misunderstand you. You are the force of divine destiny they never anticipated, unstoppable because you walk not by sight, but by faith. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7. As you rise, understand this. The world may never fully comprehend the source of your strength, but they will never forget the impact of your faith. The victory has already been won through Christ's sacrifice, and you are called to walk boldly in that truth. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. Isaiah 54 verse 17. Your life, guided by the Holy Spirit, is a living testimony that redefines the rules for those around you, pointing them to the infinite possibilities found in God. If this message resonates within your spirit, let it serve as a reminder of the power that dwells within you, the power to rise above the noise, to transcend the limitations of this world, and to live as a reflection of God's glory. Join this journey of faith, a journey not of self-promotion, but of divine purpose and eternal impact. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5 verse 16. Together, let us build a legacy that points to Christ, a legacy that cannot be ignored or overshadowed. Like, comment, and share this message if it stirs something within you. Let us unite as a community of believers, committed to uplifting one another and advancing God's kingdom on earth. Your support is not just a gesture. It is a declaration of faith, a shared commitment to glorify God through our lives. Together, we fuel one another's spiritual growth, spurring each other toward love and good deeds. Hebrews 10 verse 24. Let us show the world not only that we belong, but that we are here for a divine purpose, to shine God's light in the darkness and to live boldly as His chosen people. Thank you for being part of this movement of faith. Stay blessed, and remember, with God, all things are possible. Matthew 19 verse 26.